Exceed, the first call and contact center in Egypt. And Mr. Cliff Moore, the chairman of the COPC, or the Customer Operation Performance Center. Today is a milestone for Exceed, as it has been awarded the COPC certificate, the first company ever in the Middle East to be awarded such a certificate. What's in it for Egypt? This is what we are going to be hearing from Dr. Adel Danash. Dr. Adel Danash, the CEO and the chairman of Exceed call center, we thank you very much, our contact center, we thank you very much for joining us here.
My pleasure.
So today must be a very great day, because today you have been awarded the COPC, and what's in it for Exceed, since you are up and running and in the business of offshoring for quite some time. So what's in it for Exceed?
It's not only a stamp that we would put on our marketing material, it's much more than that. COPC is not just a certificate of like the ISO, for instance, certification of quality. It is a certification of quality and also performance. The P in COPC is the performance part. So it's performance, innovation, excellence in management, different way of managing things, and following a certain number of criteria in doing things in an efficient way.
You're talking about criteria. As I understand, there has been 34 requirements by the COPC in order to get you to be awarded the COPC. So how difficult was to meet these requirements, the 34 requirements, and what was the most difficult part of it?
Actually, the processes are very simple to follow. I mean, if you follow these processes, be well disciplined in doing the things that you are doing, and doing them efficiently, not just saying these are the procedures and I'm going to follow the procedure without being efficient and very accurate in what you're doing. So efficiency is the key word here. Efficiency and also cost conscious, because you can have an excellent quality, but if the cost of that quality is too high, then you lose your customers and you lose your market share. So to answer your question, yes, some of the processes were difficult to achieve, mainly the ones that are related to hiring people, for instance, the hiring process. We tend in Egypt, when we hire people, to be a little bit on the emotional side. We are very emotional when we hire someone, and whether you like a person or you dislike him.
We're talking about hiring people to jobs which is relatively new in the Egyptian market, the Egyptian labor market. And one of the issues that has been raised not only in the Middle East but also worldwide now is graduates being graduated from universities, but they're not fitting for the jobs, although they are graduating from very good educational institutions. How are you overcoming that issue at Exceed, especially that you are catering for a type of service which is relatively new to the Egyptian market?
You touched a very important point here, and we were aware of that from day one. And the way we handle this is that we, as an association of call centers here in Egypt, decided to go and put the problem in front of Minister Ahmad Nazif, who was the Minister of Communication and Information Technology at that time. And we told him that we have a major problem of training these university graduates to be able to work in the call center. And he was very supportive, and he said, name the number that you want. We told him we would need, over the next 18 months, around 1,000 persons. He said, all right, the government will cover the expenses of training these people, and it is a training that lasts between 3 and 6 weeks. We will train them, but under one condition is that you hire them. And of course, we hired, we at Exceed, we hired 400 or 500 of these young Egyptians.
So again, there is this issue. A few months ago, or maybe just a couple of months ago, in the Davos Forum, China and India were center stage when it comes to offshoring and outsourcing, and everybody was talking how, in terms of their economy, the economy in these countries is not that good, and the population is a big population, yet now they are the number one countries in Asia as far as offshoring and outsourcing is concerned. How did they do that? How do they do that given the circumstances that we have just mentioned?
Okay, well, if you compare, let's compare India, although this is a very tough comparison. Compare India to Egypt, for instance. The population of India, and let's talk about call centers where the human resources factor is a very important issue. Population of India is 1.4 billion. Egypt around 70 million. So, grosso modo, they are 20 times our size in terms of population, number of people living in the country. Now, if you take the number of people working in call centers, number of agents working in call centers, And according to what Data Monitor has published, we look at 2008 or 2009 for 250,000 Asians in India, a quarter of a million persons working in call centers in India, against around 14,000 persons working in Egypt. If you divide 250,000 by 20, you get 12,500. So in terms of Asians per capita or per capita Asians, percentage of people working in call centers, we would be doing as well as India in terms of, because this is a very labor-intensive industry. So we will be as good as India compared with the number of people working in the country.
Again, I want to still draw parallels because as much as India has made it in Asia and it's become the #1 outsourcing or offshore country for giant companies, the IT companies in particular, yet Egypt is positioned, according to E.T. Keeney, as number 12 when it comes to offshoring. Now, do you feel a threat having countries such as India and China and Malaysia doing the same services and offering the same services, and they have a competitive edge as well?
Absolutely. India has a competitive edge, but also Egypt has a competitive edge. Our competitive edge comes from the multilingualism that we have here in Egypt compared to India. India, you would find call centers in English only. We in Exceed, we support 9 languages. We do English, French, Arabic, Italian, Spanish, Greek, Portuguese, Hebrew, Danish. So we have 9 languages, German, that we support in Exceed. They cannot do that in India. They cannot do that in Tunisia and Morocco, for instance. Tunisia and Morocco are very geared towards French. We are the only country really that I've ever visited where you have natives, locals, who support all this variety of languages. So we have an edge, and we have to position ourselves as the location that has this variety of languages, and where multinationals today are looking for a single location to provide all these services. They do not want to have a call center in India for English, in Tunisia for French, and so on. They are looking for a common place where they have all these languages. Of course, we are not as advanced as India, but we are getting there. And we are number 12 on A.T. Kearney, and one of the parameters that A.T. Kearney takes into account is how many companies in the country have the COPC certification.
How many?
When they published the report, it was 0. Today, there is one, Exceed, that has the COPC certification. So probably next year will be maybe number 10 or number 8 or number 6.
Right, Dr. Adel Danaj, the chairman and the CEO of Exceed Contact Center, we thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
But there is a big question mark now. According to the A.T. Kearney, Egypt is positioned as number 12 when it comes to offshoring and outsourcing businesses. We are going to talk to Cliff Moore, and he's the chairman of the COPC, to tell us how does the company itself see Egypt in the offshoring business. Mr. Cliff Moore, the chairman and the co-founder of the COPC, or the Customers Operations and Performance Center, we thank you very much for talking to us in this event where you granted Exceed the COPC certificate.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for speaking with me.
Mr. Moore, let me just explain to our viewers what is exactly COPC and who puts the requirements of, or who measures whether a certain company should be getting a COPC or not.
Okay. COPC is a private company that is governed by a standards committee, which is a group of individuals that don't have affiliations with COPC, and we have some major companies on it like General Motors, Microsoft, LL Bean, which is catalog retailer, and others, and they developed the standard that we certified Exceed to.
So
enough depth to really handle a large volume of call centers. Support and sort of organized support either from an association or the government to help promote the company. You go to trade shows now and you see booths for basically all the countries that are trying to get in this, and then the conviction of the contact center management, like the Exceed folks and the other call centers in the area, to really make this work.
According to the A.T. Kearney, Egypt is positioned as number 12 when it comes to offshoring and outsourcing business. Now it looks like this is a very significant position when it comes to the Middle East. Egypt is in the forefront of these countries. Now my question is whether who asks COPC to come and assess the offshoring or outsourcing businesses that the countries are offering? As I know that Morocco or Tunisia and Jordan are offering offshoring services. So do they ask or request COPC to go visit their sites, or you do that on your own initiative?
There are two ways this occurs. One is companies like an Exceed would call us in and have us assess and work with them to improve their operations. The second is a number of companies, buyers of services, who are looking to use firms in Asia, Africa, and the Middle East are actually requiring that in order to do business with them, they have to be certified.
So Mr. Cliff Moore, the chairman of the COPC, we thank you very much.